Ollie are no longer with the organisation. We're one controller for the civil defence down. The ideal scenario for a city our size is to have a controller and an alternate controller, and this provides us that cover.
I so move.
I'll second.
Does anyone want to speak for or against this? Okay, so I'll put it to the vote. Should we do it by the hands? All those in favour? Is there anyone against? Okay, thank you, Harry. So, councillors, we now move to public excluded. I will move that.
Your Worship, I'd like to raise an issue.
Okay, I'll just get a seconder. Councillor O'Leary is the seconder. Yes?
Sorry, you read. Okay.
I'm with you. Yep.
Your Worship, item C5, park renaming. I've read the report and I cannot for the life of me see why the renaming of a public park should be done in secret, regardless of what might happen with the outcome, regardless of how much money they might have paid, or anything like that. That is a public park is an issue that the public should be able to have a say on. There's anything to do with the public park for that matter, in this case the renaming of it. I am not at this point taking any issue with the proposed change. Actually,
No,
I'm taking big issue with the process, and I would like to see us deal with that item in public, and I'll so move.
Right, okay, an amendment, that's fine. Is the seconder?
Well, I'm actually moving that, Your Worship, because there hasn't been a mover yet.
Yeah, no, I've moved and seconded to go into public excluded, myself and Councillor
I didn't hear the seconder, sorry.
Yeah, so you're going to move an amendment for
Yes,
that item to be
that
heard in
item
public?
C5 be dealt with in public.
Is there a seconder for that? Oh, Councillor
second.
Gallagher. Councillor Gallagher. So,
I have a question.
So I was just going to actually go to the democracy manager because it was put in public excluded price of democracy. So can I just check with you?
My understanding, Your Worship, that there are negotiations underway and a sum of money that may be involved. And I also understand there are matters of personal privacy which also might give rise to release of the information in the public arena at this stage in consultation with family members.
Right, so just to clarify then, is that, so you're satisfied that that's sufficient from the Act's point of view?
Yes, it would be, Your Worship, but I'm not intimately across this project,
Right.
but that is my understanding. But of course it's up to the council
Yeah.
to vote.
True.
Such.
No, true. True, no, I get that. And I don't think that there's any suggestion that it won't become public. It's just the age and stage of it. But Councillor O'Leary, this is sort of you're across this, so...
So, Your Worship,
No,
what's the I'm just going to ask you the process you're going to follow for this discussion.
No, so I've got a motion and I've got an amendment,
Yep.
so I'll be putting those to the vote.
Okay, and you're going to have speakers for...
Yeah.
So is that
Just
what Councillor O'Leary's doing now?
Just the usual stuff, yeah?
So the mover is going to speak first, that's the not usual stuff?
Yes, I mean, we can choose to speak or not speak.
Well, sorry, I thought you just said that's why I was asking what process
Yeah,
we
no,
follow.
we're going to follow the usual process, Councillor McPherson.
Which is the mover, yourself speaking
Well,
first.
the mover can choose to speak or not, as you know.
Okay.
We
May I
just do it
ask
in
a question
no,
before the debate
because I
starts?
haven't quite finished yet.
Okay.
Just the usual process, and I've sought information from the democracy manager so people can hear. And Councillor Gallagher, did you have a question, or you were wanting debate?
No, I think it can come in my commentary, but at the end of the commentary, I may clarify something with the CEO. That's all.
Okay. And Councillor Mallett, did you have a question?
Just if we're going to have a debate on this, which is going to happen by the summer, what things can't we say? Like, obviously, we can't say the name of the park currently and what it could possibly be. So we just need to be a bit careful of what we say in the debate, don't we? Because you don't want to preempt.
Could you give some advice on that? Could you give some advice on that so that councillors are clear?
I think until you resolve whether that you're going to be an open, you should not comment.
Public excluded, you mean?
Yes, or whether it's going to be had in the open, you shouldn't
Should,
comment.
or is that legal or just a suggestion?
Well, I think the Lagoima is clear that matters that are withhold and there are grounds to withhold should not be released in the open session under 6 and 7 of Lagoima, and then the code of conduct of members reinforces that in terms of what should or what shouldn't be released in the public arena.
Right.
I think it's just being cautious in your debate.
So, Councillor Mellon, is that sufficient for you?
Yeah, I guess it's like name suppression. You can't say, I don't want Julie Hardacre's name released. Oops, did I say Julie Hardacre? You know, it's too late by then. Not that you would ever be in that position, I know. Well, as far as I'm aware. Unless it's something.
Garrett, stop.
Right, I don't quite get the example, but anyway, hopefully everyone does. Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, so anyone wish to speak? Councillor Leary?
So just speaking on for the motion, it's my understanding that this is exactly the same process as the Anzac Parade when that was named, when Victoria Street was changed. This is the same process. That's my understanding from Democracy. And of course that decision was unanimous. And there were no objections for that decision moving into public excluded. So this is the same process, I thought. And look, it gives time to communicate with the families, and under the Official Information and Meetings Act, it does say the withholding of information is necessary to protect the privacy of natural persons, including that of deceased natural persons. So, yeah, I think this is, I wasn't there for the Anzac Parade one, but this is exactly the same process. So I'm absolutely supporting moving. And it's a civic matter. And I did have a chat to Councillor Gallagher a couple of times on this. And Councillor Gallagher, if I recall, because you've, dealt with a lot of civic matters and always very concerned about the process and in doing the right process, and you did actually recommend to me that this should be in public excluded because it's a civic matter and dealing with citizens. So, yeah, that's my reasons for supporting the motion.
Thank you. Any other
Yes,
speakers?
I did have the view.
Yeah,
If I can, thank you.
Yep. Okay.
All right. I did have that perspective at the time, but the one thing that has started to tax me, and I remember years ago we named, and I'll say, Derek Heather Park after the late Dr. Derek Heather, who had a giant of a contribution in this city. And obviously, where you're naming a park, a new piece of reserve after a person, I understand the process you as a council approach a person, but you want to avoid embarrassment to that person should the vote not go the way of a recommendation. I get that. What I'm concerned, and the Anzac Parade is actually good, I support the naming of the Anzac Parade, but if I gave you the example of just say a future council decided to take Minogue Park or the Dennis Rogers Rose Garden and change the name, and I will promise you that as a 98-year-old resident, I'll be in this council
You'd still be
in a public opposition role. Well, who knows? Strom Thurmond in America, yeah. And what I'm saying, because what taxes me a wee bit, is it just entirely my decision to make? So I guess to the Chief Executive, this is where we're not naming a new park, we're changing a name. And it's around the balance between individual privacy and a public rebuttal. I think when we get to the debate proper, I'll be very positive.
We're in the debate, Councillor Gallagher.
No, but I'm talking about...
We're in the debate.
Sure. We're talking about the process, and the question I ask of the Chief Executive is the problem I have is the balance between what is in the public interest, right? And I have a worry that in the end it's all done in pink and the decisions made in pink, no public consultation per se, and it's the balance, because this is where you're changing the name of existing
So
green space.
So, Councillor, just so we're clear, we are in debate and
Yeah.
you are speaking in debate,
Yes.
but I think you've got a question which relates to the policy.
Right,
So what I'm
Yeah.
interpreting is
yeah.
halfway through your debate speech, you are asking a question, and I think that relates to the policy, right? I think
So the
there's a policy. The policy.
Yeah,
I think
if I can be
that's
clear,
the question.
the dilemma I have, and Councillor O'Leary is quite correct, obviously you should try and avoid embarrassment to affected people and families. I get that. The dilemma I have is when you're making a change to an existing name, what is the balance, if you like, between the reasons and the logic being discussed in a public arena, and which didn't, I think, happen with regard to the Anzac Parade, is what is the balance between a consultation process at the end of it, that we propose to do X, right? Because I do have a worry a little bit about a fait accompli. So there's two parts. One, the balance of public interest versus personal privacy. Number two, do we or should we have a right then to go ahead and just do it, as against say we intend to do it, and what does the public think in terms of a proper consultation process?
So, I mean, Councillor Gallagher, as you know, we do have a policy,
Right.
right?
Remind me.
Which is the road reserves and park naming policy.
Okay.
And I think this report says what the key parts of the policy are. So I think that might answer part of your question. But you let the Chief Executive deal with the balanced one. And bearing in mind that halfway through your speech,
Yeah,
sort of asked a
change.
question.
I'm not too sure how to respond to the question regarding balance. We tested the report against the Lagoima requirements, and on face of it, based on advice, met those requirements. And so, yeah, I can't really talk to the balance aspect. I think it's up to council to consider against the requirements of the policy whether or not they believe it should be an open or not.
And the second question, and please feel free, I'm happy to be publicly reminded of what our policy is. I suspect it's not, as in terms of where you're naming streets, but this is a renaming issue, and the policy says it's all cool to do it the way we're doing it.
The reserves
The
must
policy.
be named by resolution of council.
Is that what Councillor O'Leary just referred to? By resolution of council, a reserve can be renamed.
4.4 of the policy.
So the policy doesn't make any reference, and thank you for bringing me up to speed with this, doesn't make any reference about some kind of need to sort of gazette or make notice of,
The policy
in terms of the public having some input into that.
Well, it depends on how it's initiated and
Yeah.
whether it's new or not.
Right.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
policy sets it all out.
Yeah, okay.
So Councillor Gallagher, you are in your speech, so
That's
But-
fine. I've raised some concerns. That's all. And
so you
I've
don't
asked-
want to carry on speaking for or against the motion? Or,
I'm sorry.
no, okay.
I do have a genuine dilemma about where the need to have this discussion in an open and transparent manner versus the need to protect individual privacy, and I do have a genuine dilemma on that.
Yeah, okay, no, thank you. Any other speakers for Councillor McPherson?
Yes, Your Worship, I wish to speak for my amendment, which is that this item should be dealt with in public. First, want to say that I'm shocked at the statements that Councillor O'Leary has made, some of which are incorrect. She has said there needs to be negotiation with the family. The report, and I'm not
Gee, I
going to
didn't
give
say
details, actually
Democracy.
said...
Sorry,
she
point
didn't
of order.
Yeah, she didn't say negotiation with the family.
Well,
She
then
said-
I'd like it read back what
Democracy
she
said
said.
that.
She used the word negotiation
Yes,
in
but
her
it wasn't
speech.
in relation to the family. Can you just repeat what you said?
No, I don't believe I actually said negotiations. I believe democracy said that.
Okay, I'll take your word for that. Okay, Councillor O'Leary herself is well aware, personally, that she has already met with the people involved, the family members and the company involved in some...
A point of order, Your Worship. I
Yes.
haven't met with family members.
So Councillor McPherson, she
with the
hasn't
partners
met.
of the company.
She hasn't met with family members.
Well, that's all right. I'll start again then if I keep getting interrupted.
Well, no,
It's not a
I'm-
point of order. She's not saying point of order, Your Worship.
No,
I
sorry,
did.
sorry, Councillor McPherson. What we know is it is important.
Your Worship, if I'm making
No,
a speech,
don't-
if I'm making a
don't
speech,
interrupt
it
me.
you should stop someone else interrupting
interrupt.
unless they're making a point of order. That's the standing orders.
Standing orders also say that when a member is speaking, you let them speak.
Exactly
So,
my point.
you made a statement. Councillor O'Leary said, no, incorrect. Now,
Councillor
yes,
O'Leary does not have the right to do that when I'm speaking unless she's making a point of order.
I said point of order,
she said
councillor.
point of
The first
order.
time, not the second.
Councillor
I did.
McPherson, she said point of order and said corrected you. So I think you've got to take it face value. If she says you made an incorrect statement, she hasn't spoken to the family, you have to accept that. Right, carrying on.
Okay, I'll repeat. Councillor O'Leary and the Mayor have met with partners from the firm concerned. There is already an agreed amount of money, 5-figure sum, to be paid over. That is not to be negotiated, which is something that the democracy manager did talk about. In fact, the democracy manager mentioned the need for negotiations. The report makes it absolutely clear the negotiations have already taken place. I don't believe the democracy manager's advice is accurate. I don't believe some of the things that Councillor Leary has said are accurate in light of what's actually in the report here. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is, since when was embarrassment or potential embarrassment a reason for something not being done and said and discussed in public? This is the renaming of a public utility. The renaming of a public utility. Money is going to change hands, and there's also a statement in this report that says there are no other stakeholders to be consulted. Yet the public has not been consulted at all. Are you suggesting, the authors of this report, it's not clear who authored that part of the report at all. There's no name. There's a name on the cover sheet, but not on the report itself, so I don't know where in the council it's come from. It is clear that the only people who were consulted were people who occupy the land and some council staff and members of the firm that have offered a sum of money to council. And yet there's a statement in there that no one else needs to be consulted and the public are not going to be consulted, yet they're the users of the park. That is really off. And I, for one, am not going to stand by and see a process like this where the public is shut out of discussions on something like this. I am not even commenting, as I said before, on the actual substantive thing. I can see the reasons for the proposal in here. That is not what I'm talking about. It's the shocking process that this council is proposing to follow, that the public out there can't have a say on something like this. Where will it end?
So Councillor McPherson, that's about the process in the report, but just getting back to, is that part of your submission on why it shouldn't?
I'm not making a submission, Your Worship. I'm not making a speech.
Yes, a speech on why it should be in public and not public excluded.
Yes, it's part
Because
of
the process and the policy isn't right.
Your Worship, why are you interrupting me?
I'm seeking clarity.
Well, then wait until I've finished. And
Okay.
if it's
Good.
not clear, you may ask me questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like the time started again. I've been interrupted about 4 times since I've started.
So carrying on,
No, I'm waiting for the thing to stop flashing in front of me.
carrying on.
Well, can it be stopped, please?
No,
Thank you.
it can't be stopped.
It
Carry on.
has been, Your Worship.
Someone
Thank you.
can move an extension, as you know, Councillor
Been
McPherson.
stopped.
Carry on.
It's been stopped, Your Worship.
So we've got a mover and a seconder to extend. Okay.
Yeah. Look, I'm shocked by this, and I can see that the attempt. People are a bit embarrassed by it. I can see there's an attempt to try and sort of hush it up and that. And I'm certainly not going to be hushed up on a process like this. And regardless of what council says on this, I'm certainly going to be releasing the information about this.
Thank you. Any other speakers for or against? No?
I'm speaking in favour of this matter being considered in public excluded, and I'm just not sure where Councillor McPherson's coming from, in the sense that the information that is in the report has already been made public. If you look at both of Councillor McPherson's Facebook websites, his own and the secret Hamilton Meetings website,
Point of order,
you
Your
will
Worship.
find...
Point of order, Your Worship.
What's the point of
Point of order. Where is the fact to back up anything that does not have my name on it?
in regard to?
The member has just made a statement that a certain Facebook page that doesn't have my name is one of my Facebook websites. He's just used that word.
Right, and you're saying it's not?
I'm asking, that is not a factual statement.
No, yeah,
I'm-
so you're
I'm
saying...
I'm happy-
Stop. You're saying the point of order is that...
The member has misrepresented
misrepresented you in relation to a
deliberately.
second page, Facebook page.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I'm happy to withdraw the comment about the second Facebook page, but not the first Facebook page, where the information contained on the first Facebook page is in fact information that has been taken from the public excluded portion of today's agenda. So it's largely academic that we're considering and debating this, because the information is already in the public domain via Councillor McPherson's website.
No. Point of order. If the member looks on my Facebook page, he will see that it is via the other Facebook page where it first originated, not on my Facebook page. He can actually see that.
So just for clarity, have you shared on your Facebook page?
It has been shared to my Facebook page.
Right, but it's on your Facebook page, you haven't removed it?
Rob?
No, not at all.
Okay, so, well, I think then the Councillor Pascoe's correct.
All I'm asking is for him to be accurate.
Okay.
Well, I suspect my knowledge of technology has already shown up earlier on in this meeting, but certainly the articles appear on both Facebook pages, one called Secret Hamilton, which does often feature word-for-word posts that are on Dave McPherson's Facebook page,
The other way around.
but they're not related.
Right, anyone else want to speak for or against? No? Okay. So we're going to vote on the amendment first. And Jude, could we just have those up? Thank you. And hopefully the machine is working.
Your Worship, I wish to ask a question in relation to the reasoning given, which is, yes, the next bit there, for item C. I presume that means C5, just missing C5. Yep. To enable council to carry out negotiations, being the reason given, official reason given, yet the report itself states that negotiations quite explicitly have already taken place. So I'm questioning whether that itself is a factual statement.
So the reasoning,
I would question the author through you, Your Worship, but I don't know who the author
I
is.
think it's the democracy manager's question, a question for her.
Could I interject,
Yes.
Your Worship? So on page, the one before the photos, where it talks about feedback, it says at the bottom of that page, process from here, talks about complete negotiation with said firm about the use of donations. So that's where the reference is to negotiation.
Yet on the third written page, and I won't mention the names, it states that the so-and-so firm has agreed to donate an exact amount following a meeting with the Mayor and Councillor O'Leary, and they have confirmed support for the proposal, advised members of families residing in Hamilton. So how else can that be taken other than the negotiations have been completed?
All I'm drawing is attention to that those bullet points at the bottom of the page, Councillor McPherson, sorry.
Okay.
Is the top incorrect then, the first bit that I've quoted?
I think the top bit refers to the sum. The second part it refers to how that sum's going to be used.
Thank you. Sorry,
If
yes.
Could I ask some questions?
Yes, councillor King, yes.
Whose is this job? Whose is this project? Is it Mary's?
No, this is councillor O'Leary's project.
Can I address you?
Well, no, we're not going to talk about the substantive
I'm not talking
report.
about, what I can't get over is if this is in public excluded,
Right,
and if the negotiations are complete and all the relevant people have been talked about, why does it have to be in public excluded? Because there's no one to protect, because it's been discussed with all the concerned parties already.
so I think councillor O'Leary addressed that when she spoke in support of the public excluded.
Well, certainly the business involved has been talked about. The money the deal's been
Yes, so
struck
all
for
I
the
can
money.
say, councillor, yeah, hear you.
The family's
I
been
think
talked to.
No, the
councillor-
families haven't. I said the families haven't been spoken to. The families haven't
No, no,
been.
don't-
I'm sorry, Your Worship,
Sorry,
it says in here that
Councillor
members of
McPherson-
both families
Councillor
have
McPherson,
been advised.
Councillor McPherson, can you let people finish what they're saying? This is a question that councillor King has asked and councillor O'Leary is responding to. Councillor O'Leary, did you answer the question? Sorry, because
Look, I thought I
it
did.
reverberates in
Yeah.
these things. You see, and it
I-
sounds
I-
different up here.
I thought, without talking on items that are actually in the report, because at the moment we can't, I haven't spoken to the families.
Your Worship, the
No, so
the actual report says that Councillor O'Leary met with partners from the firm and they confirmed to you people, you and Councillor O'Leary, strong support for the proposal and advised that members of both families still reside in Hamilton.
So where does that, Councillor McPherson, say that anyone communicated with those families?
Where did the name of the firm come from? The partners.
I think, sorry, councillors, but I think you need to accept Councillor O'Leary saying no one has spoken to the family. So you just have to accept that as correct. So, Councillor King, we were in debate, and I did ask if there were any other questions before we moved to it. So, unless anyone else wants to speak for or against, we're going to put this to the vote. Did you want to speak for or against?
I'll speak for the motion.
Right, thank you.
I just wanted to make one brief point about the debate, and that is the purpose of public excluded, on the basis that if this council decides tonight not to proceed with that, then there is no public embarrassment for the parties involved. And so this is a very fine-tuning aspect. How do you think we got the Hamilton ambassadors?
Exactly.
It was a phone call to be asked would they accept it if it were to be offered, and there was a process. So the ones that we have put forward have accepted, conditional on council approving those outcomes. Because if councillors had rejected any of those ambassadors, it would have been a huge embarrassment to any of those individuals to be rejected in such a public way when we were asking them for the use of their name, the association with the city and so on. And this is no different to anywhere where there are people involved that cannot control the outcomes. Public excluded allows them that sense of privacy until such point as a decision is made, and if there's a decision to say no, that's fine, nothing happens. If there's a decision to say yes, then it proceeds in a public way.
Okay, we're going to...
Yeah.
I just had a couple of questions. Could the Chief Executive confirm, did the party who is putting forward the funds and requesting the name change, did they initiate the contact?
I can't answer that. I'm not familiar with that detail. I'll have to ask Councillor O'Leary.
Absolutely not. In fact, they were the last cab off the rank in this whole idea.
Okay, thank you. My other question to the Chief Executive, how often is it unusual for an elected or a number of elected members to drive such an initiative? Isn't usually it driven by staff?
I don't have the experience and tenure in the role to actually have been through a number of these to actually give any comment on that.
Obviously, your understanding is though no individual elected member can commit this council to any obligation.
That's correct.
Right, councillor.
I'd like to speak to it now, Your Worship.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay, go.
Just when you're ready.
Yep, go.
Look, I have a lot of time for Councillor O'Leary. So my critique is not personal at all. My concern is I have no doubt the motivation for this is well-meaning and is potentially in the best interest of the city. But an elected member who participates in a process like this, who also then is involved in this item being in confidential, does open themselves to potential critique about whether or not the process has been totally transparent. And I'm concerned that by keeping it in the pink, we actually open those individual councillors to unfair criticism. And I'd highly recommend those around the table to have this in the open, because I think the matters that are being brought forward and the proposal potentially has significant merit. But I'm mindful that that will not be the focus. I'm mindful the focus will never be on the individual and the outcome. It will be on the process. And I think that would be unfair, because in this case I think the process was just a little clumsy. And I wonder if the best mechanism isn't to have this in the open and transparent manner so that the people can hear the debate and then the final decision is made by the whole council in public. So that's why I intend to support the amendment.
Okay, Councillor King, I had you next.
Yeah, the report says on the pages aren't numbered. There are no other stakeholders to be consulted. Now, I would propose that this is about council feeling this is in the pink, as in confidential, because council would feel embarrassed if it doesn't go through, not stakeholders. And if we vote it out and feel embarrassed, that's not a good enough reason to have put it in confidential.
Okay. Right. Sorry, Councillor McPherson. Sorry, Councillor Forsyth.
Thanks. I'm not prepared to put any of the families at any sort of risk of embarrassment or rejection or a lack of worth, I suppose. So I'm wholeheartedly supporting keeping this in the pink until the proper process and communication with the families has taken place.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we're voting. So we're voting on the amendment first, which is C5. Can everyone see that? That little sentence down the bottom. Okay, so does the board work? Is the board on? Yes. So we're voting on the board on the amendment.
Oh, sorry.
Red.
The amendment is lost. 5, 4 and 7 again.
Okay, so we're now voting on the motion to move to public excluded.
Could I ask some questions
Not
before?
while you're
No, we're voting on the motion now, Councillor King. We've moved into that process now. We're voting on the motion.
So that's now taking all of the everything now
Into
public
the-
excluded.
Yes, it is, because the amendment was based on taking
C5
one out.
only,
Yes.
yeah.
So if I've got something else to discuss about another item,
Oh, sorry, you hadn't signalled that. Sorry, Councillor King. So I wasn't. I thought it was about the same item. So you've got a question on another one of the items.
Just stop that vote, Your Worship.
Right, thank you. Which item is it?
I'd just like to understand what information from public excluded can be released before a meeting.
Nothing.
No.
Oh, so is this a general question?
Yeah, I just want to talk about public excluded.
So I think,
how.
so Councillor King, if you're not going to raise another item on the agenda
Yeah.
to be in public, then that question is something not for now to discuss. That is, if you have some concerns or you want some information about that, I suggest that you talk to the Democracy Manager and the Chief Executive to understand the legal perspective of that. So are there any other items you wish to call as not being in public excluded?
No.
No, okay. So we're going to vote now on the motion to move to public excluded all items. We lost.
Carried, 9 votes for and 3 against.
Thank you. We're now in public excluded.